So thanks for having me here. Uh, I thank the organization and the people who have come here to listen to me. Uh, Today we will be discussing about Palestine issue and Muslim responses. Okay, so to begin with, to have a brief idea about what this Palestine issue is, and about the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Uh, the best place to start is always 1917, when the British occupied Jerusalem. And when that when Jerusalem was occupied by Britishers, the person who commanded the military, he sent a letter to the Queen of England, stating that yes, we have brought Jerusalem under our control, and we actually dedicate it to you and as a birthday gift. And the importance of this city of Jerusalem to three Semitic religions: one for Muslims, for Christians, and for Jews. The place is equally important. And there is already an existing dispute over the ownership of the land. Who has to own the land? There is already a dispute. And you know, if you look at this trajectory, like the occupation of Jerusalem, the thing that we have to remember is that Westerners were not interested in West Asia for quite a long period of time, and they started thinking of colonization from the beginning of the 20th century. Precisely because of the invention of petrol. And after the invention of petrol, they all found that this is a hotbed for fashion. This is a hotbed for extraction of more money. So that's why they came to different parts of West Asia and expanded that colony into different countries of West Asia. So by 1917, there already existed a movement called Zionism. Uh, Zionism, when we talk about Zionism, we need to highlight three important points. Point number one, uh, Jews are the most persecuted religious minority in the world. They have been subjected to a number of attacks from different corners of the world. And during last 2-3 centuries, they were actually ghettoized, they were marginalized, and they faced attacks individually and collectively. In among European Christians, there was a belief that Jews killed Jesus Christ, and this belief actually exploded gamut of stereotypes like Jews take interest, they monopolize trade, they are not trustable, blah 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 blah, and this kind of this stereotype ruled the mind of Europeans, and that resulted in the marginalization of Jews and violence against Jews. So there were issues like mob lynching, uh, even that long till World War II that we have seen cases like Holocaust, where hundreds of thousands of Jews were burned. Uh, that's a reality. I mean, this actually led to large number of migration of Jews from to other parts of the world, and they were scattered. There were no lands for Jew community till that time. So that's a reality. We need to appreciate that. And the second point is that the people behind this Zionism, there is a very influential section behind this Zionist movement. Uh, to name someone like, if we take the world capitalist structure, uh, one powerful section of this bourgeois, international bourgeois were Jews. Even today, in USA there is a family called Rothschild family. If you just search in the Google, you will see the history of this Rothschild family. This family was behind, funding enormously for the expansion of Zionism. And so always there was a support for a capitalist support for this Zionist movement. Even today, there is the support. And when I say influential people like Albert Einstein, he was a Jew and he was a supporter of Zionism. And while he had given up his religion and faith for the scientific exploration, he didn't give up his faith in Zionism and he stood for that. So the power, this actually leading to the third point, that the power of Zionism beyond Israel. Like, if you take, for instance, US as a case, in US, where lobbying is actually, legally provided. Israeli lobby is much powerful. And during election, for instance, during elections, whoever comes as presidential candidate, the one of the primary questions that they need to address is what is their policy on Israel. And even so-called radical, presidential candidates, they declare unconditional support to Israel. So that has been there for quite a long time. Till now, this support is going on. So in other countries also, if we look at their power and influence, that is something sensational. So so between 1917 and 1948, it was in 1948 the state of Israel was declared. So between 1917 and 1948, Zionist movement planned, they actually planned everything, and they had a master plan. They had a master plan for everything, and they suggested, they told every Jews across the world to come to this place at to Palestine. Actually, this Palestine is, actually a small strip of land at the west coast of Arabian Peninsula. So they told everyone to come to that particular area, and they occupied the region illegally, and they declared the state in 1948. Unsurprisingly, every Muslim state stood together to fight against Israel. But what actually happened was, Israel, they won every wars after war. And Muslim countries fought against Israel individually or collectively after 1948. I'm just briefing it. They fought against Israel in number of times, but in the result was abrupt failure, and Israel had extra advantage. I mean, Israel established the dominance in the region. So what actually 2021, what happened in 2021 was, the world actually heard about the incident when some rockets from Gaza Strip was fired some populated area in Israel. And Israel started retaliation, and we heard about the story only by that thing. But actually, the thing was exactly 21 days before that the things had started. In Masjid al-Aqsa, in Masjid al-Aqsa, there was an incident on Ramadan first, because that day is important to any Muslim. So there is a ritual of going to Masjid al-Aqsa every first day of Ramzan. So, on very day there was a celebration going on in Jerusalem. That was the Jerusalem Day. You may have seen some broadcast showing, how do they celebrate Jerusalem Day? Jerusalem Day is, that's a commemoration of people who have sacrificed for the purpose of Israel. So, the two incidents were happening together at Jerusalem, and that actually led to some kind of scuffle between right-wing element in Israel and Palestinians, and that scuffle went for long. What happened at the end was, after that incident, there was a kind of looting by Israeli right-wing element, a raid of right-wing element to Muslim homes in Israel, and Muslims' homes were started being bombarded. And this incident, then led to a kind of one-sided war in favor of Israel. So, we need to understand some more thing. We need to, read some more incidents in tandem with this particular incident. Incident was that, one was there was already some issues going on in Gaza Strip and Jerusalem. One was in Israel. This Benjamin Netanyahu government is only a caretaker government. He could improve the coalition. He could improve the majority. So there is a kind of, there is a political pressure for him to ensure majority, and he has a necessity to win election. So, if a sensitive issue is there to counter that, no political party can counter him. So he thought in that manner. And so he was looking for, attacking Israel, as always happened in the past years also. So in Palestine, there was already some issues like that. In domestic politics of Palestine, there was also an election happening, and Mahmoud Abbas was actually facing election after 15 years, and the administration had declared election, but at the end of the day, what happened? He postponed election again, and to Hamas also there was some kind of popular unrest against Hamas in Gaza Strip. If you see in Gaza Strip, around 50% of the people are unemployed. Because of the blockade by Israel, so there was a demand by people to think about economy beyond war, and to think about economy beyond politics, and that sentiment was against Hamas. So Hamas was also thinking of taking over the responsibility as a defender of Jerusalem. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the issues, the larger issues around the recent incident, and if we take the other players, like in Iran, Iran is also supposed to have some kind of role in the incident. That it's also believed to have some kind of interest in it. In Iran, election is going to happen in 1 month. I mean, within a month, an election is happening. So, right-wing Iranians also want some kind of emotional issue to strike an election. And okay. So, how does Muslims respond? When I say Muslims, first we need to look at how Muslim countries respond. Why do we need to discuss about how do they respond? Because there was some kind of change. I can say some kind of tectonic shift in the response of Muslim, perhaps because of the changes happened in the geopolitics of West Asia. To begin that, we need to look at the incidents happened during the around say within last 1 year. What developments happened within last 1 year? One incident was U.S. administration changed the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That was actually a dramatic shift in the policy of USA. That was the open statement that it no longer go for the Palestinian state. So, and Trump administration clearly stated that he doesn't want to have a two-state formula in Palestine-Israel issue. And second thing was regarding Iran. In Iran, General Soleimani was killed by USA in an airstrike, and that was definitely supported by Israel. And Israel and US militaries have bombarded a number of oil wells in Iran. And the third thing was regarding Iran is Iranian proxies were attacked by Israelis in Syria. So, Iran was always looking for a revenge. Perhaps this pandemic might have stopped them, having a direct revenge on Israel. So, Iran was looking for a revenge. The third point we need to look at is the changes happened in the policy of Arabian countries. Four of the Muslim countries have started normalizing relations with Israel. Some of them have opened diplomatic dialogue. Some of them have established consulate, and these kind of developments were happening regarding Arab countries. So that was still the Trump administration. So what happened after the Biden came to power? So Joe Biden came to power. That made some changes in the policy of USA, and a change in US policy made a large kind of change in West Asia as well. So Biden administration they do not want to have a direct confrontation with any country. They do not want any regional conflict. The Biden's logic today is, if there is an issue in any region, regional players have to look at it, and America cannot take the burden of it. US is now, they only want to engage with China. They only want to contain China. That is only the purpose they have in their rule book now. And the changes happened in the approach of Biden to West Asia. That he actually warned Saudi Arabia on humanitarian violence happening. He actually wanted Saudi Arabia to withdraw from Yemen. He actually want Saudi Arabia to do immediate action. So, Saudi is now thinking of alternative option. USA is no longer the old friend. It has changed the mind, so it has to look for some kind of changes. So, this changes in the policy of USA. This has created a large change in the diplomatic policy or diplomatic direction of West Asian countries. If you look at the West Asian country, the relation between them, this was much complex. There was a conflict between Saudi and Iran, conflict between Turkey, Saudi, then Qatar and Saudi, then say Egypt and Qatar. Egypt and Turkey, then you have conflict with Saudi and Yemeni Houthi. This complex, what can I say, complex kind of relation between West Asia, something different is happening. That the most important is Saudi has started diplomatic discussion with Iran. It is now ready to have a normal relationship with Iran. Iran foreign minister has already appreciated Saudi government's intention to have peace in the region. So that's it. That's a vitally important step that can have great impact on the West Asian geopolitics. And the second thing, Turkey has also started, good relation with Saudi Arabia. We already know how the relation between Saudi and Qatar is getting better. And Turkey is in discussion with uh, sorry, Egypt. And in Syria, Assad is looking for how to make use of this change in political atmosphere, and he is serious about having good relation with other people. So when we talk about how they deal with Palestine question, the question we need to understand that uh, when we talk about international politics, it's always the logic of the day is only and only real politics. Real politics means they think in the perspective of utilitarianism. They think like what benefit I am getting and what cost I am ensuring if a particular decision is taken, if particular action is taken. So Arab countries were not thinking about anything against Israel before, and even there is no reason to believe that there will be a war or there will be any kind of bold decision from. I don't think that there is no reason to believe that there will be any bold decision from the side of Arab countries regarding that. But anyway, relation with US, relation with Israel, something new changes are happening in Arab world and in Muslim world. That's something that we need to underline. And when we look at how Muslims have responded, this Muslims across the world, uh, they have come up with strong protesters, social media rallies, and that sort of thing, which are in very usual kind of thing. Whenever such happens against any Muslim country or any Muslim community in the planet, Muslims come up with such protesters. But the things there is a change this time. I actually would like to take this changes from taking Kerala as a case study and how this issue has how different sections have approached the Palestine question in Kerala. In Kerala, it's only a case study. There was a one lady was killed in Hamas strike, and that lady was a Hindu and a Hindu lady, and how right-wing element in India tried to use to marginalize Muslims in India. They wanted to give a message to Christians and Hindus here that Muslims across the world are terrorists. They promote some kind of extremism. So containing Muslims is a necessity of everyone. So they have uh, I don't know successfully or unsuccessfully, they have actually tried to polarize uh, this issue in favor of against Muslims in Kerala. Uh, if we take how Muslim communities have responded, Muslim community organizations have responded, uh, community organizations have, like before, they have also come up with some kind of hashtags, some kind of social media campaigning, that sort of things. But at the political level, the dangerous thing is some Muslim political parties have taken up the issue. That's something dangerous. Because if you take a global issue into your local affairs, that is going to create polarization, particularly when it is related to some religious sentiment and when it involves more than one religion. That kind of effect will happen to any community if such global issue is taken by a political party in particular. So, but political parties always think in terms of real politics. Like they think these emotional issues can have larger impact, and if they do not take up those issues, there is a possible backlash from the community. So, in Indian case also, what we see in large over India, the ruling party is actually trying to use Palestine issue as a polarizing issue. There is a shift in the policy direction of India towards Israel-Palestine. That was precisely to use this as a ploy to isolate Muslims within India. So, in conclusion, what we reach is, a issue at Gaza Strip or a issue at West Bank is, used by right-wing elements across the world. And second point, Gaza and Palestine is they do not receive humanitarian support as before. There is a sharp decline in the support for Palestine from non-Muslim communities all over the world. By this, I will just conclude it.